Secret of Hermanos Conde, Chapter 31. If Petal had not caught Gwen's eye by chance that day in the thrift shop, Mamika, she would have been lost to us forever. Paloma noted as she proceeded to close the gallery for the day. It had been an exceedingly busy one, for it was the week of the AT&T ProAm golf tournament in Pebble Beach, and many of her mother's avid collectors happened to be in town. Blanquita somehow guided Gwen there. Elspeth assured her she was now living in an apartment above the gallery and had come downstairs with Clarissa, who she frequently took care of in the afternoon, sleeping soundly in her arms. Well, Blanquita certainly imbued the painting with her whole heart and soul. It was painful to watch her pray by candlelight, night after night, with tears streaming down her face. Paloma confessed, remembering the sorrowful summer that Petal had died as if it were only yesterday. She let the painting know it was dearly loved Paloma, and in time acquired an energy field of its own. Elspeth observed almost sadly, which is why love never dies and can travel so surprisingly far beyond the grave. Speaking of which, Mamika, did you know that Bartholomew led Gwen to Petal's actual grave? Paloma asked. It was overgrown with crabgrass in the backyard, but he knew just where it was. There was a small bronze plaque on which had been engraved, "The end is the beginning," along with Petal's name. How true, Elspeth murmured approvingly at the epitaph. And Bartholomew, always such a clever cat, bringing Carlos communications from dear Blanquita to keep his spirits lifted. Bartholomew actually brought a communication to me, Mamika, Paloma interjected, something that she had found at last, the moment she had long been waiting for, a communication that I think was really meant for you. Oh, Elspeth said vaguely, not making eye contact. It was the evening of the same day Helena and I met you at the aerial tramway, Paloma said, bravely taking the plunge. I spent that night at Uncle Carlos's house before returning to Carmel the next day, and just before falling asleep, I heard Bartholomew scratching at the door. When I let him in, he brought me to this. Paloma had been keeping a tattered hand-knit pouch in the desk drawer of the gallery ever since. My amulet! Elspeth's voice trembled. Bartholomew brought you my amulet? Amulet? She said, loosening the drawstring and finding the St. Francis medal and the eucalyptus acorn exactly as she had remembered them from so many years ago. She instinctively lifted the pouch to her nose, as Paloma indeed had done before her, as if a comforting trace of l'air de temps would surely be lingering still in the wool. What do you suppose she's trying to tell us? Paloma wondered aloud. I suspect that the unfavorable season has passed, and it's time to come home, was Elspeth's logical conclusion, and for all intents and purposes, she probably was right. A storm in the forecast for tomorrow night, Paloma told Jack over the omelet she had hastily prepared earlier. They had both had busy days and gotten home late. Clarissa by the hearth with her cradle, which Jack rocked with one hand while eating with the other. Paloma continued, It's also the first day of the ProAm, which means every restaurant in town will be packed for dinner. Oh, and as if that's not enough, it's Valentine's Day, which will only make the matter that much worse. Jack listened patiently, waiting for her to get to her point. It was, after all, their first wedding anniversary, of which he knew she was only too well aware. So, I was wondering, she paused to find the right words, would you mind terribly if we stayed home and ordered pizza and watched a video? He asked, finishing her sentence. Not at all, my dear lamb. We'll invite Elspeth to join us and be together as a family. Sounds like a lovely way to spend the evening. You quite honestly wouldn't mind, Paloma said, sighing with undisguised relief. Mind? Under the circumstances, I would vastly prefer it. Besides, after the ProAm, we'll go to the inn at Spanish Bay and have it all to ourselves. We'll sit outside around the fire pit, sip champagne, and watch the sunset while the bagpiper plays. He smiled as he commenced to softly croon to Clytie, who had begun to coo and gurgle in her sleep. Oh, you'll take the high road, and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland afore ye, but me and my true love will never meet again. The song trailed off as he gently lifted and carried the baby upstairs. On the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond was the last phrase Paloma heard as she began to clear the table.